All right, BarNaturalPrez, talk to the people, man. Let them know it's getting ready to go down.
What's going on, YouTube? You're back with the Prez, and that's good money. We're out in Juniper Park today, and it's been a while since I brought to you guys another What I Eat in a Day video. So I think it's been probably one of the first videos George put up with me, maybe almost 2 years ago, when I was going over my diet in the summertime. So it's winter time right now. It's about the beginning of February, and typically every year from the months November till about March, April, I try to go on a bit of a bulk, right? So I don't know if I ever told you guys about bulking and specifically how I split up my macronutrients as they differ from when I'm trying to cut down and lose body fat, right? So remember guys, it's always only gonna be 3 macros. You got protein, carbs, and fats. Protein's worth 4 calories per gram, carbs are 4 calories per gram, fat is 9 calories per gram. That means you could pretty much eat double the protein and carbs to get the same amount of calories as you would to do in the same weight in fat, right? Because fat's 9 calories per gram as opposed to 4 and 4. So just keep that in mind, guys. So currently right now, I eat around 3,400 to 3,500 calories a day, depending on my activity level. Typically when I'm cutting, I'm eating around 3,000 to 2,800 calories a day. So you guys can see there's about a 500 to 700 calorie swing from when I'm bulking to cutting. So first thing you guys always got to know whether you want to do a bulk or a cut is your maintenance calories. So first thing I'm going to tell you guys, find a fitness calculator that's going to help you determine what your maintenance calories are right now. That's the biggest thing that you guys got to figure out. If you guys need a calculator, you can go on my website, barnaturalfitness.com/calculator. There's a free macro calculator on that. All it's going to do is ask you for your activity level, your information, your height, your weight, etc., etc., and it's going to give you your maintenance calories. It's also going to give you the options if you want to lose weight, maintain weight, or gain weight, right? I always recommend you choosing the option that you want to stay the same, maintain your weight, because that's going to only give you your maintenance. It's not going to give you any suggestions. So just for instance, guys, my maintenance calories fall between 31 to 3,200 calories a day. And like I said, I'm on a bulk right now, and I'm only eating around 3,400 to 3,500 calories a day. So I'm only in a surplus of about 200 to 300 calories. Most calculators and many coaches will tell you need to be in a 500 calorie per day surplus, as well as you need to be in a 500 calorie deficit per day if you want to lose weight efficiently, right? But in my opinion, that's too high. If you're eating in excess of 500 calories a day, it's going to be inevitable that you put on more body fat than you guys want, right? So I've been bulking now for almost 3 months, right? November, December, January, it's about February right now. And I went from about 159 pounds to only 165 right now, 164, 165. So I put on about 5 pounds in 3 months. That's pretty much less than 2 pounds per month. Steadily increasing my calories about only 100 calories every couple of weeks. So I started around 3,100 calories, and now I'm at 3,400, 3,500, and I just go on slight increases. Once you guys hit a plateau, that's when you guys want to start doing a little more. So for instance, say you guys are eating 3,200 calories a day, you put on a pound or 2, and then all of a sudden you're noticing you're not putting on any more weight. There's no need to jump up and add 300, 400 more calories. That's just gonna put you in too big of a surplus. Add an extra 100 calories at a time. That's what's gonna keep you gaining slowly. And as long as you guys are following a progressive overload method, then you guys are gonna be ensured that you're gonna be putting on muscle as opposed to more body fat, right? Same thing when we go with cutting, right? You guys wanna minimize the cardio, focus on building and maintaining your strength and maximizing the amount of muscle you can hold on to when cutting. So now, like I said, I eat around 3,400, 3,500 calories a day. So let's go to how my diet differs now to when it does when I cut, and let's go through my actual diet. So right now I eat about, overall, remember, everything's based on 100, right? So you got 3 macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fat. So your whole 3,400, 3,500 calories got to be split between these three macronutrients to equal 100% as a whole. So remember guys, I've said this before, when you're in a surplus of calories, protein is sparing. That means you do not have to eat as much protein as you would have to as if you're in a deficit. If you're in a deficit, the first thing your body's gonna wanna do is strip the muscle it has, because muscle is the most cost-effective thing for the body. Your body does not need muscle on it. So the first thing it wants to do when it's cutting, meaning it's in a starvation mode, not eating enough calories, is it thinks to itself, I don't need this muscle, let's maintain all the fat that we have. That's the first notion that your body biologically wants to do, right? It would say, let's burn the muscle. The reason why I eat higher protein when I'm cutting is to maintain that muscle mass, right? Now remember, when you're in a surplus of calories, surplus means you have an excess of energy for your body to pull from. That means your body would have no reason to pull from muscle at all, because you're always feeding it more energy. It has no reason to strip muscle down. All it's going to be doing is either building muscle or storing fat if you're in a surplus, right? So like I said, I eat 3,400, 3,500 calories a day, so let's break it down. I eat around 5 meals a day every day. I have a breakfast meal every morning around 6:30, 7 a.m. I've said this numerous times, and my breakfast always pretty much stays consistent in terms of macros. I always think in the morning you guys should be in more of a ketosis phase where you guys could work on utilizing stored body fat for energy, right? So in the mornings, I keep the carb intake pretty much low to non-existent. Every morning now, so what I used to do is eat a lot of eggs. I used to eat 5-6 eggs a day. I cut my egg intake down dramatically after I did a food intolerance test, and it said that I may have a slight intolerance to egg yolks, probably due to the fact that I ate so many. I was eating 6 to 10 eggs a day for years, right? And when you eat so much of something, it's very common that you can build a slight intolerance to it. So I cut my egg consumption down to 2 eggs every morning. I've always been big on gut health, right? So every morning it's either bone broth, sauerkraut, or yogurt. Lately, just because I was on bone broth and sauerkraut for so long, I like to switch it up. So now every morning I have 2 whole over easy eggs. I have 2 pieces of Canadian bacon, which is a lean cut of meat. It's very lean, it's high in protein. I have 1 serving of full fat yogurt. Listen, yogurt is full of probiotics, and especially if you're getting full fat, it's gonna have more calories in it. Like I said, guys, in the mornings, I think you guys should have primarily protein and fat as your energy stores, right? You guys just were in a sleeping state. You guys were fasting throughout your whole sleep, right? So in order to keep your body in a fat burning mode, there's no need to ingest carbs right away unless you're gonna be training right away after, right? So for me personally, I don't train till about noon. So I like to have 2 meals prior to my training. And like I've said in the past, even when I'm cutting, my meals in the morning are proteins and fats consistently, right? So I have 1 serving of yogurt. Yogurt does have a little bit of carbs from the sugar in it, but again, it's very, very minuscule. The macros in the mornings for me are pretty much 50% fat, 30% protein, 20% carbs. I have some blueberries. I always have a little bit of fruit in the morning for the antioxidants and the fiber. So 2 eggs. I have 170 grams of whole milk yogurt. I always get grass-fed yogurt, and if I can get it raw from a dairy farm upstate, I will get raw yogurt. That means it's unpasteurized. It has all the enzymes in it to help break down that whatever sugars are in there. So 2 whole eggs, 2 slices of Canadian bacon, 1 serving of full-fat yogurt with 1 cup of blueberries on it, and I have my gluten-free, grain-free granola, which is again high fat, lower protein, lower carbs. So in the mornings, I'm typically getting in around 500-600 calories, which I like to try to break down my total 3,400 calories divided by 5 meals. So it's typically between 600 to 700 calories per meal. Meal 2 is always my pre-workout meal. Now guys, I've said this many times in the past, if you guys have a lot of weight to lose, a lot of fat to burn through, you don't typically have to have a high carbohydrate meal pre-workout. You will have plenty of excess stored energy on your body to burn through. Now, let me show you guys something. So realistically, guys, this is what a realistic 13% body fat looks like, right? So I may look lean to some people. I'm pretty thick right now in my own eyes, I can tell. And realistically, so people may say, oh, I'm 13-14% body fat. For me, this is what a realistic 13% body fat looks like. Other people at 13% may not be able to have visible abs, but listen, that comes with building your muscles, right? If you have thicker ab muscles, they may be able to show at a higher body fat percentage. Typically during the summertime, I hover around between 10 and 11% body fat. I haven't been under 10% in a very long time. I may try to get down that low this summer. It all depends. It's really hard to sustain, in my opinion, especially when you're doing all this intense workout. Your body's gonna need to go through a lot of food, right? Especially me that have a high metabolic rate. So, pre-workout meal every day now. Now it's when I start to ingest carbs, right? Because in this bulk, like I said, protein is spare. You don't need to have as much protein as you do when you're on a cut. I keep the protein to about 1 gram per pound of body weight. So right now, my total protein consumption out of the whole 3,400 calories is typically falling between 160 to 175 grams a day, which is just about 1 gram per pound of body weight. I eat about 50% total macros on my training days from carbohydrates. When during the summertime, I usually have higher fat-based meals, right? So, summertime when I'm trying to cut, remember, fat is worth 9 grams per calorie, so you can eat double the food for carbs and protein as you can for fat. So in the summertime when I'm trying to stay satiated more, that's when I'm typically gonna have the fattier cuts of meat, less carbohydrates because I'm trying to eat less calories, but I'm getting it done with with still a decent amount of food because I'm eating higher protein and fat-based meals and getting more calories from the fat. So pre-workout now, I have 80 grams, which is 2 servings of cream of rice. Cream of rice is a very easily digestive carb, almost just like white rice. Digests very easily, and it's a very good source of glycogen for your muscles to burn through during a workout. 80 grams of cream of rice. I top that with 70 grams, which is half a cup of frozen blueberries. I have 1 scoop of whey protein in water, and I top again a little more grain-free granola. Pre-workout calories, again, fall between 650 to 700 calories. So between my meal 1 and meal 2, I'm already at 1,200 to 1,300 calories for the day. I work out every day around 11:30, 12 o'clock p.m., which is typically 90 minutes after my pre-workout meal. Post-workout now. Remember, now, since I'm in a bulk, my training is primarily now higher volume sets. I'm working really pretty much in that hypertrophy. Rep ranges 6 to 12, 6 to 15 reps, mostly compound movements and weighted calisthenics. So I'm keeping the volume higher. Rest periods, it's pretty much for all my workouts now between 2 to 3 minutes. You guys saw I'm doing a couple challenges with That's Good Money lately. You guys saw if I did the 15-minute 50 pulls, 100 dips with the 50-pound kettlebell. All those routines are going to be very glycogen demanding, right? Meaning you're going to need more carbohydrates in the diet to perform better. When you guys watch the video when I'm doing 100 pulls, 100 pushes in under 10 minutes, your body's going to be burning through a lot of carbohydrates. That's going to be the body's main source of fuel. Different type of fuel needed than when you're focusing on lower volume work, when you're working on strength training, right? I've talked to you guys about this in the past. When you're working on that 1 to 5 rep range, you typically don't need to have that many carbohydrates in the body because the volume of work is lower and you're primarily tapping into more ATP and phosphocreatine stores. That's really the type of workouts I like to do in the summertime when I'm on a cut. When I'm on a cut in the summertime, I don't really like to do those endurance, those cardio-based routines because it's just gonna make me burn too much, right? And I'm gonna have to eat more in order to sustain that type of energy. When I'm on a cut, that's when I like to focus on more strength training. I'll do heavier weighting pulls, 1 to 5 rep range. I'm working on more skill sets, handstand push-ups, front levers, planche training, things like that. More skill-based work that's not as glycogen demanding because I'm focusing more on my diet than on fats and protein as opposed to more carbohydrates. Now when I'm in the bulking phase, my carbohydrates take up pretty much 50% of my total daily intake. So we already got 2 meals down. We got breakfast, which is high fat, high protein, very low carb. We have the pre-workout meal, which is high carb, low fat. Literally, the pre-workout meal is probably 60% carbohydrates, 20% protein, maybe 25% protein, and about 15 to 20% fat. Very low fat, very high carbohydrates because I utilize those carbs for the workout that I'm getting into. Higher volume training that I'm going through. I'm putting my body through more glycogen demanding workouts, which is known as anaerobic glycolysis. The exercise predominantly now, the sets last 60 to 90 seconds, more time under tension. Again, that's gonna require more carbohydrates to fuel you through those workouts. And then you're gonna be burning through more carbohydrates, so post-workout, you're gonna want more carbs to recover. So post-workout now, typically I have every day, it's always white rice as my post-workout carbohydrate source. Why? Because it's easy to digest. It assimilates in the body fast, and you can eat a lot of it very easily. If I was to eat, let's say I was gonna eat sweet potatoes or brown rice, it's very hard to eat those because the fiber intake in them. They take longer to digest, and they will fill you up faster. White rice, very simple to eat. You would feed it to a baby. It digests easy, doesn't cause any bloating, doesn't cause any gas for me, no distress. I typically eat that with a lean cut of protein. Filet, beef tenderloin, 90-10 grass-fed beef, some lean bison, leaner cuts of meat with higher carbohydrates post-workout meal, right? Now, the one thing that would differ is now let's say my workout was based on more strength training, because I still do like to do strength training work, even though I'm on a bulk, right? Because remember guys, mass moves mass. So the more calories you intake, the higher your body weight is, the stronger you would generally be. So it's always good to push strength training as well. But the majority of my workload now is pretty much in that 6 to 12 rep range, focusing on building muscle, giving my body a reason to utilize the calories that I'm taking in. So the more calories you take in, the more work your body can do. So it would be stupid and counterproductive for me to make the same mistake that I used to make all the time in the past, right? I used to think all the time in the past, let's eat more, let's stay in that surplus, and let's do less. That's a recipe for fat gain, right? Because now if you're eating more calories, but doing less work, what does that mean? You're doing a lot of work when you're cutting, right? So now your body thinks, oh, I'm cutting, let's do all this work. It's not gonna be very efficient at building muscle. But now when you're trying to build muscle, you think, let's eat more and do less work. So you're doing less work, now you're giving your body less stimulus than you were when you were in a deficit. So why would your body want to build muscle that way? It's just going to want to put on more body fat. You may get stronger, but strength is not always a sign of muscle building, right? So remember, when you're giving your body more calories, that means your body can produce more effort. So the higher volume work sets, the 50-100, the 100-100, the weighted sets, the higher volume calisthenic sets, that's when your body's going to utilize those extra calories and utilize those extra volume of work and put it to muscle building, right? So post-workout, typically like to have 250 grams of cooked white rice. You always want to weigh your white rice in cooked weight, right? So I cook my white rice in a rice cooker. I weigh it out on the scale, 250 grams. That's giving me close to 100 grams of carbohydrates. So there's almost 350 calories of just in rice alone. Then I'm getting another 25 to 30 grams of protein with that meal. And again, remember guys, if I was on a cut or if I was doing strength training, that meal would be a higher fat-based meal now and lower carb-based, because I wouldn't have burned through many stores of glycogen during the workout, so I wouldn't have to replenish the carbohydrate stores. So let's just say, for instance, I decided to do a workout on my bulk and I was just doing 10 sets of one front lever hold, or I was doing 10 sets of 100-pound pulls, or 10 sets of deadlifts for 1 rep, right? Only 1 rep for 10 sets. The volume is very low. You're really working on max strength. You're not burning through glycogen stores. There's no reason to feed your body all those carbohydrates. That's when they're going to store for fat. If that's the modality of your training, it's more effective for you guys to utilize protein and fats as your fuel source and your recovery method, because again, you're not going to be burning through those glycogen stores. So typically for me on the bulk, like I said, all my volume of work is higher, so I keep the carbohydrates in the diet a lot higher. So post-workout, 250 grams of white rice, typically between 6 to 8 ounces of a leaner meat. Beef tenderloin, always grass-fed. I'll do 90-10 grass-fed beef. I'll do ground bison. I'll do ground turkey. I'll eat some chicken cutlets sometimes, the weak bird. It happens. Sometimes, you just got to switch the palate up. And 90% of the food I intake is always red meat. That's my primary source of protein. But I always like to switch it up. Fish. Any type of lean fish post-workout. So just remember this, guys. If you guys are going to have a higher carb-based diet, that's when you're going to want to have lower fats, right? Because you don't want to have a high fat and a high carb-based diet, because that's going to give your body, that's going to basically be a recipe for you to overindulge, and it's going to be hard to maintain a balance of calories, right? Because remember, fat's worth 9 calories per gram. So if you're having high fat and high carbs, that means the protein is probably going to have to be low in order for you to be in that range, right, of your calories. So if you're going to have high fats, you lower the carbs. If you're going to have high carbs, you lower the fats. The protein just stay consistent. So typically, like I said, when I'm on a bulk, I keep the protein to no more than 1 gram per pound, because my body has no reason to strip my muscles for protein. I'm not giving my body a reason to burn through any type of energy stores, because I'm giving it more calories than necessary. But if I was cutting, that's when the protein would shift to pretty much 40% of calories. That's when I would up my protein to closer to 1.2 grams to 1.5 grams per day, eating over 200 grams of protein per day. Why? Because I'm lowering the carbs, so I have to increase the fats and increase the protein a little bit. So now we're 3 meals in now, and typically by the time I'm done with my post-workout meal, I'm teetering around 1,900 to 2,000 calories. So like I said, every meal is typically around 650 to 700 calories. So let's just say 6, 12, 18 plus 50, 50, 50. We're about 1,900 calories to 2,000 calories by the time I'm done with my post-workout meal. That's 3 meals in. I have 2 prior meals to go. Dinner. So now pretty much, remember, before my workout and post-workout, I consume majority of my carbohydrates for the day. They all revolve around the workout, right? The carbs pre-workout to fuel me through the workout itself, and then post-workout carbs to replenish the stores and get my body ready for the next day. And now what I like to do is I like to kind of teeter off the carbs and start tapering them down. So now for dinner, that's when I'll start having maybe a little more fats. I'll throw an avocado in there with I'm still pretty much having a lean cut of meat if the carbohydrates are still higher in the diet. So typically for dinner now, it's going to be, if I had red meat for lunch, that's when I'm going to have chicken for dinner, right? If I had chicken for lunch, I might throw in lamb or something for dinner. So typically dinner now is going to be more vegetable-based carbs. I'm going to keep the starches to a minimum, because like I said, I always like to keep my body in some period of ketosis. First thing in the morning, when I'm pretty much primarily consuming proteins and fats. Remember guys, when you're sleeping, your body is in a fasted state. So if you wake up and you start eating carbohydrates, your body's gonna wanna burn through those carbohydrates. But if you don't start eating carbs in the morning, your body's gonna be more efficient at burning through fat. So what I like to do is I like to start tapering the carbs down, so when I get to my last meal of the day, there's no more carbs in it. So typically, dinner will be a gluten-free English muffin, like I said. I'll have some carbs with it, a gluten-free English muffin, which is pretty much carbs and fat, has a little bit of fat in it and carbs. I'll have my vegetables, and that's what I'm gonna have, always a lean cut of protein as well. Fish, chicken, turkey. So again, guys, it's either red meat for lunch, and then a leaner white meat or fish for dinner, or it'll be a white meat or fish for lunch, and a red meat for dinner, right? Now it's 4 meals in, so typically, like I said, it's a gluten-free English muffin with some type of meat and vegetables on the side for dinner, and then as the night goes on, now I start really going to more fats to fill up my fats for the day. I usually have at night some type of chocolate while I'm on this bulk, just because I like to have something sweet, something more satiating. So what I've been eating a lot lately is chocolate-covered almonds by this company, Hue Kitchen. They used to have a restaurant in the city. They closed down a few years ago. Now all they do is make food to sell in like stores. They just make a bunch of paleo and really, really good quality chocolate. So typically at night I like to eat a chocolate bar, which falls around like 300 to 400 calories, more fats. It's very low protein, very moderate carbs. And then I like to finish off with some fruit. Typically lately it's been an apple, some strawberries. But again, guys, I typically like to taper the starches down as the day goes on. I primarily consume all my starches, majority of my carbohydrates, pre and post workout. 80 grams of cream of rice pre-workout gives me close to 80 to 90 grams of carbohydrates pre-workout. Post-workout, that 250 grams of carbs is giving me close to another 100 to maybe a little, just about 100 grams of carbs. So between pre-workout and post-workout, I'm taking in 250 grams of carbs about. On a regular right now, I'm eating about 350 grams of carbs, and those extra 100 grams of carbs comes from the fruit that I eat, the extra carbs in my yogurt, carbs from the vegetables, and just the rest of the carbs that are in the rest of the foods that I consume throughout the day. Because remember, food is always going to be comprised of either protein, carbs, and fats, all three or one of the three, right? So remember, avocado is going to have carbs and fats in it and a little bit of protein. Steak, any type of meat is always going to be protein and fat. Starch is always going to have predominantly carbohydrate based, very low fat, very low protein. So you guys got to know the food sources that you're eating. And I'm going to make it very simple, guys. Easiest way to figure out what you guys want to do if you're bulking or cutting, like I said, maintenance calories. Figure that out. If you guys want to go on a bulk, add to start 200 calories per day. Watch the scale. If you notice that you're gaining more body fat, lower the weight, lower the calorie intake. If you notice that you're not gaining weight as much, up them slightly, up them by another 50 to 100 calories each week until you start seeing the scale go up progressively. Don't go 500 calories at a time, because that's just going to lead you to fat gain. So remember, guys, 5 meals a day I'm eating. Each meal is falling to be around 650 to 700 calories a day, falling around that 3,500 calories per day. Those are the calories I eat. Let me just clarify, on the days that I train. If I am not training, I will not eat that high. Because remember, you want to teach your body how to utilize the calories that it's taking in. So if I was to eat 3,500 calories on a day that I'm just sitting on my couch, my body's going to think, why are you giving me all these calories? I have no reason to utilize them, and it's just going to get stored as body fat. So remember, guys, you don't always have to give your being that surplus. If you don't have a reason to utilize the calories, eat at maintenance. So on a day off for me, if it's a rest day, that's when I'll bring the calories back down to around 3,200 calories per day. So my body doesn't have any reason to store more body fat. And this way it knows when I am eating the calories extra, I'm eating them for a reason, because I'm going to be doing more work, producing more effort. Remember, give your body a reason to utilize the calories that it's taking in. Same thing when it goes for a cut, guys. When you're on a cut, let the calories do the work for you. For instance, I'm starting to cut tomorrow, let's just say, right? So I'm gonna drop my calories down I'm on my bulk, right? So I finished my bulk at 3,500 calories, let's say today. Tomorrow I'm gonna go start my cut. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop my calories to 3,200. So I'm gonna start eating 300 calories less, right? I'm gonna keep the workouts the same, not gonna add any cardio in, because what am I doing? I'm already giving my body a stimulus. I went from eating 3,500 calories to 3,200 calories a day while I'm doing the same effort, right? So now it's gonna think, all right, I'm not getting as much food, doing the same effort, let's burn some weight off, let's drop some fat. That's the most effective way to do it, right? But now if I start dropping 300 calories, doing the same workout, adding in cardio, adding in burpees, now my body's like, I'm eating less, I'm doing more, why am I gonna hold on to all this muscle? Let's just strip it all off, right? Be efficient with the calories and the work that you guys are doing. Let the calories do the work for you. Meaning, remember guys, stay in a deficit that's effective for fat loss. Once you hit a plateau, once you get to a lower calorie base, that's when you can start manipulating and adding in cardio. Do not throw all your tools at yourself at once, right? Like I said, don't do cardio, don't start cutting your calories, adding in 3 days a week of cardio, adding in burpees after your workout, because that's gonna put your body into a stressed out state. It's gonna elevate your cortisol levels, and it's gonna make you burn out. So let's just go over the diet one more time, guys. Breakfast, 2 whole eggs, 2 slices of Canadian bacon, 170 grams of full-fat yogurt. I top that with 1 cup of blueberries. Those are the only primary carbs I'm getting in my diet in the morning. And they're pretty much, remember, berries are gonna be very low carb in general, very low sugar. And I top that again with 1 serving of gluten-free, grain-free granola. The reason why I do that is just because I need the calories. If I didn't need to eat 3,500 calories, I would keep the granola out. I would just keep it to the yogurt, blueberries, eggs, and Canadian bacon. Pre-workout, 80 grams, which is 2 servings of cream of rice. Literally simple cream of rice that you find at any supermarket. 2 servings of cream of rice. I cook that in 10 ounces of water. I top that with 70 grams of frozen blueberries, which is 1/2 a cup. I top that with now 2/3 of a serving, which is 20 grams of more gluten-free, grain-free granola, because the granola has fats in it, right? So if I was to eliminate the granola pre-workout and only had the cream of rice, the blueberries, and the whey protein, the whole meal would be carbs and protein and very low fat, right? But the fat slows down the digestion of the carbohydrates a little bit. Like I said, guys, I eat my pre-workout meal 90 minutes prior to training. The fat in the diet coming from the granola that I put in slows the digestion and the absorption of the carbs. That means it's giving me a longer amount of energy stores for that food to give me energy, right? Remember, cream of rice, white rice, they digest very easily. I can literally eat that bowl of cream of rice and blueberries with a protein shake and be hungry again in 1 hour if I didn't do anything, right? Because it digests so easy. The fat intake, the fat content from the granola slows down the digestion. It makes it digest just a little bit slower. That's why when I say post-workout, I eliminate the fats when I'm having carbs and protein, because you don't want to, now post-workout, you don't want to slow the digestion of the carbs. You want to get the carbs in and the protein as fast as possible to the muscles to replenish the glycogen stores, right? Now, if you add fat to that meal, it's going to digest slower and it's not going to replenish as fast. So remember, pre-workout, 80 grams, 2 servings. It's actually about 84 grams or 86 grams to come technically for 2 servings. Cream of rice, 10 ounces of water. Heat that up in the microwave 2 minutes. Top it with 70 grams of frozen blueberries, 20 grams of gluten-free, grain-free granola, 1 serving of whey and water. Drink that all up. Pre-workout. Again, that's a majority of carbohydrate-based meal. It's probably 60 to 65% carbohydrates total content, 15 to 20% protein, and very low fat, 10 to 15% fat total calories of that meal. Then I go to train. Post-workout, 250 grams of white rice, always. Again, I eat that high of that amount of white rice because I need the calories. I need to take in 3,400 calories a day, right? So it's very easy for me to eat a lot of rice. So 250 grams of cooked white rice. That doesn't mean that's going to be the amount you should eat. Figure out how many calories you guys should eat and divide it up accordingly. 250 grams of white rice with a lean, typically 6 to 8 ounces of bison tenderloin, ground bison or ground meat. And for dinner, that's what I'm having. If I'm having red meat for lunch, for my post-workout meal, dinner is either going to be fish, 6 to 8 ounces of fish, 4 to 6 ounces of chicken, 4 to 6 ounces of turkey. I'll have my gluten-free English muffin on the side, and then I'll have some vegetables, right? That's my 4th meal of the day.
What vegetables on the side?
So typically I've talked about this before, if you watch my favorite foods. I like to eat easy to digest vegetables, and I cook them very well, right? I like to cook my vegetables. I like to grill them up nice. The rawer they are, the harder they're going to be digested, right? That means they're going to be harder to break down. You cook them to help break down some of the content of the vegetables that actually don't want to be eaten, right? So typically it's going to be asparagus or spinach. Sometimes I'll have broccoli, but again, I like to just keep it very simple. Spinach sauteed with some olive oil, asparagus grilled up with a little bit of olive oil. Those are my 2 vegetables of choice, and I'll have that, what I said, typically a lean piece of fish, preferably cod. That's pretty much the only fish I really eat, cod and shrimp. I'm not a big fan of salmon. Cod, shrimp, I'll either have a piece of grilled chicken, 4 to 6 ounces. Remember, guys, I'm keeping the protein 1 gram per pound of body weight, so I'm not eating 8 to 10 ounces of protein each meal right now. That's gonna give me too much protein for the day, which I don't need when I'm in a surplus.
You say you're not a big fan of salmon. Explain that.
I'm just not a fan of salmon just due to the taste.
No
right?
issues
I don't
with it.
like
Oh, just the taste.
I don't like pink fish. Just white fish was my favorite. So cod, I'd eat. I don't even know. I'm not big on fish, so
you're not anti-salmon. You're just the taste.
No, I'm not anti-salmon at all.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I've tried it numerous times. I just never really acquired the taste for it.
Okay.
So remember, dinner. That's what I'm gonna have. That's when I'm gonna start tapering off the starches, and then I have my 5th meal of the day, which is my last meal, which is typically my dessert or my snack. And that's when I'm gonna have some fruit, an apple, Typically I have both, an apple, a bowl of strawberries, and some chocolate, right? Because again, after dinner, I'm usually around 2,800 calories for the day, 2,800 calories, 2,900, and I gotta get to 34. So typically a chocolate bar is about 300, 400 calories. Then I eat an apple and some strawberries, it gives me about another 100, 150 calories total. And that's a wrap for the day, guys. Carbohydrates, pretty much, we could go through it right now, so I'll show you guys. I track everything, guys, so you guys can see. I always recommend you guys tracking your food, because it's gonna show you guys and keep you accountable for what you're eating, right? So let's just say, for instance, so I was in Florida for the last few days, and I just got home yesterday, right? So like I said, I eat 3,400 calories a day. While I was down in Florida, I did not track, and I ate a lot. So what did I do yesterday? I dropped my calories down to 3,100 just to fall back down to maintenance calorie level. Today, I'm gonna be back up to around 3,400, and then I'll be back by the end of the week around 3,500. If you guys know that you're eating and not tracking, and if you guys think you binged one day and you went over your calories, all you gotta do the next day, drop your calories slightly, right? It's all balanced, right? So let's just say, for instance, guys, I only eat 3,000 calories a day. That's 21,000 calories for the week. That means, in theory, I could eat 10,000 calories on Monday, and then I could split the remainder 11,000 calories up throughout the rest of the week, right? In theory, right? Because you got to look at the big picture. It's not every day what's going to make the change. It's the overall picture, right? You got to be consistent. So weekly, let's say, for instance, weekly I get 20. Let's just say I'm eating 3,000 calories. So weekly, my limit is 21,000. However you want to divide that 21,000 throughout the week is all that really matters, right? So if you feel like you go over a little bit on a day, you can slightly go under on a day. So let me show you guys. So look, just so you guys can see, MyFitnessPal shows you my goal every day is 3,400. Yesterday I ate 3,075 calories, so just about 3,100 calories. So let's just show you guys my macros for the day. I ate 47% carbohydrates, 364 grams. I ate 22% protein, only 165 grams of protein, 31% fat, and that's 105 grams of fat. So, like I said, guys, when I'm bulking, I keep the carbohydrates a lot higher in the diet because, again, I'm pretty much doing a lot more volume of work where I'm burning through those glycogen stores. When I'm cutting, it's higher fat base because that's what I'm pretty much, like I said, I'm letting the calories do the work for me, and I'm not so focused on adding volume, reps, and sets because I don't want to do too much to put my body in a stressed out state. That's when I like to really focus on strength training. You'll see me on the rings doing lower volume work, really focusing on maintaining as much strength as I can while I'm cutting, right? Maintaining as much muscle mass as possible while cutting. So I hope this gave you a little insight to my diet. I definitely recommend you guys track. Download an app like MyFitnessPal. It's make it really easy. It's gonna give you the calculator yourself. But I definitely suggest using mine on my website, BarNaturalPrez.com, and just choose maintain weight because it won't determine calories for you, right? It'll just give you your maintenance, and then you guys can figure out how many more you want to eat for bulking and cutting, which I recommend. Keep yourself in a 2 to 250 calorie surplus for bulking and start your cut on a 250 calorie per day cut minimum deficit. You guys, once you have your maintenance number, then you can go on MyFitnessPal, then you can put in your goal number yourself and it won't determine it for you. So I hope this helped you guys out. You guys have any questions, leave them in the comments section. I always get back to you. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget, share the video, really helps the algorithm. The like helps the algorithm a lot too. And like always, guys, subscribe if you haven't already, share the video, and peace out. BarNaturals.